Today, we're finally going back to my roots. I'm gonna be doing my favorite thing of all time, complaining. It's no secret to pretty much everyone that's ever played Survivor in this game that a whole bunch of character designs are just straight up annoying. It's one of the only games where you'd rather not play than play against certain characters. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing my personal frustrations with the characters that I find most annoying in the game. This is not going to be an objective opinion. I'm not going to be analyzing the data and getting everyone's opinions on this. This is just my opinion. It's what I find annoying. You watch me. Right? But luckily for you guys, I have the right opinion. So if you disagree with me, you're just wrong. That's it. Coming in at number 10 is the Dredge. Now, the Dredge is infamous on this YouTube channel. I have two separate videos where I just shit on Dredge's killer design and talk about how much better Wesker is. But those videos were very emotionally charged, and it also had a big case of recency bias because back then, Knight, School Merchant didn't exist. I didn't know what was about to come. The reason I find Dredge annoying still is not because of his gameplay. I think Dredge's anti-loop is actually interesting to go against. That goes against my opinion the first time I talked about him. I just didn't know how to play against it, honestly. His teleportability is kind of interesting to play around, even though I don't like teleporting killers because hit and run. And honestly, the whole vibe of the killer just looks cool. I like the chase music and everything. The only reason Dredge still makes it to the top 10, and the only real reason I hated Dredge so much when he came out, is Nightfall. I just have this immeasurable hatred for vision impairment mechanics, and I don't think they should exist in a game where its main appeal is the whole chase aspect. I don't want to run into a wall because I can't see and die. The killer is not an AI, you know what I mean? You're not playing a horror game. I don't care if he's gonna jump scare me or not. He has to kill me, put me on the hook, and then call me a bastard after. And especially because Dredge as a killer relies so heavily on the Nightfall mechanic, because outside of Nightfall he's not that strong, honestly. A lot of killers like running add-ons and perks that, you know, either makes Nightfall last longer or makes you stronger during Nightfall. And so they're all just farming for Nightfall, and then they go for you. At number 9, it just has to be Pyramid Head. Another killer that I don't completely despise, like some games against Pyramid Heads can be fun, but what I will say is that walls should matter if the killer has a ranged power, and especially if the killer is normal killer speed while having something that can hit you from far away. Guessing games are rewarding when you win them, but they just feel miserable when you lose them. And it's not even a guessing game for the killer, because perks like I'm all ears makes this killer just way too powerful in most loops. And the main thing I hate about Pyramid Head is the fact that he can fake his power so easily without any repercussions. Nothing really happens if you fake your power as Pyramid Head. It's just way too fast. If you plant your sword on the ground and then you immediately take it out of the ground, there's no cooldown. You can like almost immediately swing at the survivor. So if he does that on a pallet, for example, then it's just a massive guessing game. And again, it's not even a guessing game, to be honest, because he can just shoot. You know, he has time to react to you actually going past the pallet and shoot at you, you know? Also, I don't really mind tunneling, but I know a lot of people don't like tunneling, and Pyramid Head is just the king of tunneling, right behind Nemesis probably, or you know, I think Pyramid Head is actually better. But again, some Pyramid Head chases are fun, and that's why he's only number 9. Number 8 should just be hitting and running as a whole. And who's the king of hitting and running? Legion. Okay, Legion is kind of a weird case. I feel weird saying that Legion is an annoying killer because of how weak he can be in chase. Hell, one of the funnest games I've ever had was against Legion, but the reason it was fun was because he didn't know how to be effective with the killer. If a Legion chases, he loses the game. He's a normal M1 killer that you can see over most loops. There's nothing he can really do in a chase. And what does that do? It makes it so killers don't chase. And honestly, just the fact that he has a movement ability inherently makes the average killer player play for boring, stretched out games where he just goes around hitting people, running away. Even though he's gonna eventually lose anyway, he's just gonna stretch out the game for 5 hours because he can be everywhere at once. It's weird saying that that's the reason I don't like Legion, because a killer like Blight can do the same exact thing and, you know, be even better. But Legion just feels bad to play against. putting you in deep wound, running away. You just see them waddling away without a care in the world. And I'm sorry to you Legion mains, I'm sorry Zoe, but I just don't love playing against this killer. And honestly, I don't like hitting and running. I don't see the appeal to hitting and running as killer. The funnest part of this game is chasing, is outplaying the survivor. Bolting at them at 5.6 meters per second, hitting them and running away just doesn't sound appealing to me. At number 7 is the trickster. And this is where the top 10 starts getting emotional. Trickster is a big case of being overpowered in certain maps in certain situations and being completely weak and unplayable on other situations. Wide open maps are just way too powerful for Trickster. You cannot loop a Trickster out in the open. It's just not possible. There are also loads of tiles in this game where he can just use the knives to shoot you over them, and they just feel unusable. You know, you have to ignore them. And it's the same thing with Deathslinger, but the difference between Trickster and Deathslinger and Huntress is the fact that if a Deathslinger misses or a Huntress misses, they have a cooldown. You know, you won the showdown. If a Trickster misses, guess what? He still has 55,000 knives he can throw at you. When the killer has such an unpunishable power, you just feel helpless in certain situations, and that's never a good thing to have in this game. I don't want to be punished for playing well. I should be punished if I played bad. But again, he's a 4.4 killer. He's hot, but he's weird and feels bad to play against. Okay. And then at number 6, we have the good old Nurse. Nurse is just way too strong. This killer has no counter. The only real counter to Nurse is the Nurse player not being good. And hell, that might be the same case for Blight. And if you skim through the video, you're not going to find Blight because I actually love playing against Blight. But the main reason between Nurse and Blight is that there is some interaction between you and the killer, even if the killer is super strong. When you're versing a good Nurse, there's almost nothing you can do. And I know a lot of you are gonna say, yo, you can just double back into the bling and you can do weird stuff. You can fake the fake double back and then you do the double back tech. I know about these, okay? I taught you these. But if you guys ever went up against a Nurse that actually knew how to play the Nurse, you understand that some of them are just unplayable against. The killer is just way too powerful. At number 5, we have the unpressed subscribe button. That guy kills me every time, but you can still save me. At number 5, we have a new hatred of mine, a brand new killer that I just dislike going against, the Spirit. Spirits is kind of the same as Nurse, except I feel like Spirits offers you even less counterplay than Nurse does. The only reason Nurse is stronger than Spirits is because she's faster. You know, she can traverse the map faster, she can be at more places at once. But Spirits in a chase without Iron Will is uncounterable. The only thing you can realistically do against the Spirits is never giving her the first hit, because then you have some mind games you can do against the power. But if she ever hits you, and especially now that healing is so unviable and everyone runs Sloppy Butcher, you're just dead. There's nothing you can do. She can just listen to you moaning and Iron Will is butchered. Exhaustion perks do nothing against the Spirits. Pallets can still somewhat counter the Spirit, but if it's not a super strong pallet, there's almost nothing you can do. The directional sound is very unreliable. And Spirit is just an all-around overpowered killer with very few skill expression that the survivor can have to counter her in a chase. Okay, so we're in the top 4. These are killers that I actually can say for sure I would rather not play Dead by Daylight than play against these guys. We're gonna start with the twins. Now, the one redeeming quality about this killer is the fact that no one likes playing twins. Very clunky, buggy, boring, slugging killer. No one really likes playing that. And that for sure helped its annoyingness. And a lot of you might disagree with me on the twins simply because you haven't played against them enough. But being slugged the entire game against a killer that's completely unloopable, seeing the little shit baby screaming and jumping at you like, oh my god. Just thinking of Victor, I already want a DC. The main reason I find twins more annoying than all of the killers I mentioned before is the fact that slugging and hitting and running are the two main playstyles you go for when you're playing twins. And those are the two most boring things to face when you're a survivor. Now, before we get into the top 3, I want to drop some honorable mentions. Some killers that couldn't quite make it to the top 10, but I'd feel terrible not talking about them. Condemn Sadako. I don't like you if you play that, okay? Don't talk to me or my son. Artist. Artist sometimes is fun, but if the artist is just throwing down crows at loops and forcing you to run away, pretty annoying. And Deathslinger. Deathslinger is a personal gripe of mine, but some games against Deathslinger can be extremely fun. Dodging Deathslinger shots is extremely fun, and there's a lot of weird attacks you can do against a Deathslinger as well, which makes him interesting. But I don't like the fact that he can just shoot me over 95% of loops in this game. Maybe that was an exaggeration. At number 3, we're gonna have the most miserable chase experience you can ever have in DBD. Hell, calling it a chase is kind of a stretch. We have the clown, aka the guy that makes your screen blurry and slows you down to a point where you literally feel like you're not making any distance towards a pallet. Clown is a super weak killer. The chances of you losing if you pick Clown and survivors are decent at the game is like 85%. Even though he's a powerful chase killer, he doesn't have any way to traverse the map or down survivors fast. So that means that you have to abide by the normal rules of DBD and chase survivors. And if the survivors pre-drop, you can almost never kill them. So Puffalope, if it's so easy to beat the clown, why is he so annoying? Because chasing is the only fun thing in this game. If there's a killer that makes you blind and slow during a chase, there is no chase. There is no skill expression. There's no skill expression for the survivor or the killer. Okay. This might be a hot take, but you cannot be good at clown. You cannot be bad at clown either. There is no skill in throwing bottles, and I don't care about the 120-page guide. It doesn't matter. You just make survivors slow and kill them. And just having this massive, disgusting thing chasing you, trying to eat your toes, laughing every time he swings at you, going, and then you're slow and blind. You're slow and blind again. He's faster. Get him out of here. And for number 1 and 2, it's gonna be Knight and Brazilian Knight. It's so crazy. It's so insane to think that these two killers were released back to back. BHPR dropped the Knight and went like, yo, the community loved this. How about we make another one? Oh my god, do I even have to say anything about these killers? If I hear the Knight's terror radius or if I see a drone, honestly, I disconnect. I don't want to sound bitchy, but oh my god, like how can a game against Adriana or fucking Knight be fun for anyone involved? I don't see how it's fun for the killer to just drop a drone near a generator or a Knight on top of a generator halfway across the map and get free pressure. I don't see how it's fun to drop a guard or a drone in a loop and watch the survivors waddle away to the next. I don't see how it's fun getting curb stomped on unless you go for a 45-minute game. I don't see how it's fun having your only win condition be survivors literally give up on winning the game. I don't think there's been a single instance where a Skull Merchant went against a decent team and won against them because they played better. No, I'm pretty sure the survivors just didn't want to play it out, and that's why they won. I know that Adriana has a lot of stands on Twitter specifically, and if you guys have fun playing Adriana, I'm down. Just have fun. Have fun however you want to have fun. Hell, you can have fun playing 3-gen games. 1-hour game, but there has to be some kind of mutual understanding between the person playing the killer and the survivors, that the survivors are just not gonna have fun. It doesn't matter if they're going for a win or not. DBD is a fast-paced looping chase type of game. It's not a horror game, and it's certainly not a generator simulator. A lot of the survivor players, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the survivor players don't play survivor to do generators and escape. They play survivor to loop the killer, to get chased, to do weird funny stuff. And these two killers simply do not allow that. The two biggest flops I've ever seen from any game I've ever played, Knight and Adriana, those are just insanely bad. And it's honestly insulting that PHR could come up with back-to-back the worst designs I've ever seen from any game in my entire life. And at number 0, we have Pinhead. No one likes this guy.